Happy Bringling. Myself Anshav Jain, founder of Bringle Blended Meetups and Blended Learning Platform, which is present in 50 countries through our 11,000 plus mentors. I would like to share pulse of wisdom of the topic business sustainability. Avi from Singapore mentioned that business sustainability should be viewed from three perspectives: mental, social, and financial. Scientific approach with thoughtful understanding is required, and it's important to set up right processes and supply chain management. In dilemma of political, social, and economical, he suggested adapt, accept, and thrive, and focus on what is there in your hand. Ajit Joshi from New Zealand mentioned that strategy is not the goal. It's about creating a unique position in which you operate, considering social and economical aspects. Being the best company is not important, but best positioning of the organization is very, very important. Leadership role has to be participative management process, and decision making is the culmination of that process. Great products and companies' DNA should match. He said that businesses should have long-term focus rather than short-term goal of valuations. Pricing has to be sustainable and from the business continuity perspective, as you cannot change the positioning and pricing every time you go in the market. Avinash Jaiswal from India spoke about the law and regulation, and it has to be made to conserve the environment and serve the society. He suggests that in dilemma of political, economic, and social scenarios, do what is right. For startups, runway situation has to be managed by tight budgeting and no extra expenses with frugality, even after investments. Founders have to be honest with the revenue projections while raising funds, else the entire project may get on halt as investor may not release the next tranche payment. Watch out the next topic live by subscribing it to Bringle YouTube channel Bringle Talks and upload your pitch deck at our community page of business sustainability at bringleacademy.com. Till then, keep bringling, keep growing.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy Bringling. I would like to reiterate the meaning of Bringle. Bringle is a coin word, brain plus tingle. And anybody who achieves or gets their Bringle moment by achieving their wonderful ideas with their exemplary efforts is all about having a happy Bringling moment. So please keep bringing and keep growing. With this, I would like to also request all the businesses, startups, entrepreneurs to come and pitch your business ideas at businessbringleacademy.com/course/business sustainability. And we are going to come up with first cross-border live Shark Tank or a live pitching event for the global entrepreneurs with our cross-border investors. So please do sign up and upload your pitch decks over there. With this, I would like to share my screen and would like to share pearls of wisdom from the yesterday's discussion. Avi mentioned that business sustainability should be viewed from three parts: mental, social, and financial. Scientific approach with thoughtful understanding is required in any scenario. It's important to secure process and supply chain management. In dilemma of political, social, and economical, he suggests adapt, accept, and thrive. Whatever you have in your hand, focus on that rather than worrying about the future. Ajit Joshi from New Zealand, he mentioned that strategy is not the goal. It's about creating a unique position in which you operate considering social and economical aspects. Best company is not important, but best positioning of the organization is very, very important. Leadership role has to be a participative management process. It's a process and decision making. Ultimately, the culmination of that process. Great product and company's DNA should match. He said that profit making companies have long term, whereas companies focusing only to build the valuation have a very short term goal. Price has to be sustainable and with continuity. Do not compromise on the prices. You may give additional benefits, discounts, but do not position yourself with a low price product. Change should be an enabler model to an innovator model. Avinash Jaiswal, he mentioned about that law and regulation are made to conserve the environment and serve the society. He suggests that in dilemma of political, economic, and social scenario, do what is right. For startups, runway situation has to be managed by right budgeting and no extra expenses. Be frugal and keep the long-term sustainability in perspective, even after you get funded. Startups spend madly when they get funds, and that's why they learn later. So please spend your money very, very wisely even after you get investments. Founders have to be honest with their projections, the revenue projections, which can severely impact their next tranche rounds. So please be very careful on that. With this, I would like to request Charu to introduce our today's speaker and initiate the show.
Very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to whole global community there. It's such a pleasure to welcome speakers for today's panel discussion, which is on the topic value creation. We have Chakur Gandhi. He's a business coach. He has a passion for teaching and using unique methodology of interaction. He addresses social forums on different topics like ladies empowerment, changing trends in education, and changes and challenges in businesses. He has interest in education and is a member of governing council of 4 colleges and 1 hostel. He's a successful businessman in a role of trading, distribution, retailing, and manufacturing. And he has partnered with multinationals and shares and stage of marketing and logistic partnership. Welcome, Chakur Gandhi, to the show.
Thank you.
We have Bhavesh Kothari. He's an entrepreneur and startup mentor. Armed with more than 2 decades of professional experience, Bhavesh Kothari has been credited to be a pioneer in the startup mentoring domain, who has mentored and nurtured more than 5 to 6 dozen startups over the last 9+ years. He currently is building a dedicated fund called Billionium Devas, fund focused on investment in early stage women-led co-founder startups. He is also currently being appointed the State Director, Maharashtra at Confederation of Indian Macro, Small and Medium Enterprises. Welcome, Bhavesh, to the show. We have Mr. Ketan Mehta, CEO, Amines Biotech Private Limited. ABPL is in the field of herbal extracts, essential oils, flavors, and other products like water treatment, formulated products, specialty chemicals for water treatment, and toiletries, food additives, and healthcare, and bioorganics, nutraceutical formulated products. He's a humble-hearted and jolly personality who can frame the business strategy as well as can manage balanced social life. Moreover, Mr. Ketan Mehta is engaged in CSR activities by contributing a lot for the upliftment of the society. He fully supports the Make in India concept of our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi. He is a motivational speaker and a trainer, prefers to guide the youth by his motivational speeches. Welcome, Ketan Mehta, to the show. And we have Mr. Dr. Narendra Kumar Shyamsukha, Chairman at ICA EduSkills, seasoned entrepreneur and founder of multiple social and professional organizations, charter member of TIE and IAN. He has won several awards, including Outstanding Contribution towards Skilling by ASSOCHAM, National Education Excellence Award by Brands Academy, and many more. Welcome, Dr. Narendra Kumar, to the show. And myself, Charu Mehrotra. I am founder of online women's magazine, womenlives.com, which is listed in top 40 women's online magazine to follow in 2020. So do follow it. I hand over to Aisha to take it further. Thank you.
Thank you, Charu, for the wonderful introduction. And, while I'd been interacting with all the fellow speakers today, and they've been doing really great in their world. And I think all of the today's speakers have a very good experience with respect to value creation, which is actually the topic for the today. I would like to start the first question with Bhavesh Kothari. Bhavesh, you had been there into the startup ecosystem for a very long time. You have mentored also, I am sure, dozens of startups by now. You had your own mentoring organization. Now you're running your own organized women-led organization, typically to support women-led startups as a fund as well. What do you think the value means for a startup? And when it comes to value creation, is it that going to be competitive, and how is that going to be different especially in current situation?
Anshav, thank you so much. Good evening, good afternoon, good evening, good morning to all of you. I think, Anshav, very critical aspect for any business is to understand the meaning of value creation. I think value creation is not just in terms of the wealth that you're going to be creating for your own organization, but an overall perspective of how you are able to add value to the larger ecosystem around that. So it can be your customers, number one, because that is where your money will come, or that is why you are existing or why you're starting your business. Number two is your stakeholders, which are, either your investors, your vendors and partners, and a host of all other components, which include your internal vendors, which is your own teams, who are managing, let's say, supply chain or procurement or manufacturing or, whatever it is, and the external stakeholders, which comprises of your suppliers and subsequent people. So I think it is very important to understand as a founder or as a CEO of a company that is your organization focused on value creation? Is your organization focused on how are you going to be able to add value or ROI on the investment that your customer or your consumer is making while buying your product or services? Okay. So this is where many of the organizations, fail to understand that, look, is it an investment or a cost that I am looking at? Number one. Number two is it adding value or is it creating a challenge for my consumers? And especially when it comes to post, engagement of sales, how are you adding value also to your consumers is also very important. So there's a whole cycle that you need to be, keeping in mind while you are launching any product or service in the market.
Yes, Bhavesh, I think you brought up a very important point out here in terms of value with respect to the customer. And I think I would want a little bit probably more clarity for the entrepreneurs sitting out there. Value sometimes is very difficult for people to understand coming out of it. They sometimes related with monetization, they sometimes related with revenues, sometimes they're related with the softer value around it. So when it comes to that kind of categorization, and of course the value, meaning of value or requirements of a different value will change from the the roles to roles perspective. So like stakeholders may have a different perspective of a value, the investors would have a different perspectives of value, the customer would have a different perspectives of value. So how an entrepreneur or a founder who is probably a one member team, or he's just a single solopreneur, or he's having one or two co-founders with him or her, how do we understand value in that perspective and from different stakeholders perspective?
So, Anshul, I will give you a very classic example. See, when you're starting up, you are a solopreneur or you have a very small team, right? What you do is there are areas that you are, in the gray, and the areas that you are in the dark spaces, which is, you don't know, right? What you do is you reach out to people in your network, okay, or maybe find a mentor, okay. Now, how does one extract value from a mentor, especially, okay, is the same way how you're looking at engaging with your customers. So I'll give you an example of, how a mentor can add value, and this can be linked to, various aspects of your business. So when you are engaging with a mentor, number one is you need to be very clear of the what, why, and how of the engagement. What is it that I'm expecting from the mentor? Why do you think this particular mentor will be able to help me in my business? And how do I also add value back to the mentor and vice versa? Because it has to be a two-way communication. Okay. So you need to be very clear on those certain parameters. Okay. Then you reach out to him or her and say, hey, look, you have been an expert in, let's say, sales or marketing, or let's say go-to-market strategy, or let's say design thinking. Now I have this particular problem of, a particular industry that I'm trying to address. I don't understand whether this will make sense or not. Can you be able to help me identify those particular key areas that can add more value to my consumers or my customers or my potential customers? Okay. So what has happened is you've been able to define what the problem that you're trying to solve, and you're trying to seek help, which will also add more value apart from only your particular understanding. Okay. So that's the second area. Third area is when you're engaging with your consumers, you're also trying to maneuver in terms of understanding what value are you going to be able to add at a price or a cost that they're going to pay for your product or services. Okay. Now, what you do is you do a lot of market research, you go out and meet a lot of people, you see and talk to a lot of experts from the industry, and then you come to a particular conclusion that, hey, look, the current value of this particular product or service is between this and this range. Okay, now since I'm a startup, I'm not sure whether I'll be able to compete with a larger player in the market, but yes, I have some USPs that I can definitely go ahead and say, hey, look, this is where we are different from the rest of the competitive market, and this is what the value that we are adding apart from what you're getting in the market. So what has happened is you've been able to define that and go and talk to your customers saying that this is what we provide additionally, and this is where the industry will move. This is what our forecast has been. So it's a whole package, right from what is the current availability in the market to what you as a business are adding on top of that as well.
Thanks, Bhavesh. I think the important point which I could gather from your discussion or your sharing is to have a mentor. And I think this part is most of the entrepreneurs today are missing out on that. They feel that they are already the subject matter experts or product experts which they have developed, and they have the best of the idea. But the challenge is that when they make it as a startup or start running as an organization, there are various aspects and different people and different perspectives to look at the value. So I think you're right. Mentor can look at it from a very neutral point of view and can support it on or an entrepreneur in different times. And it is not possible, it is not that if you are starting up and journey, you require a mentor. Even if the best of the experts, best of the people require their mentors in their life, their requirements will change, but mentors will always be required. I think wonderful point, Bhavesh. With this, I would want to ask the next question to Chakor Gandhi. Mr. Gandhi, what I would want to know is, wealth is created by creating value. Now, when it comes to the value and in terms of startups, what are the kind of soft value and what are the kind of hard values which they can kind of measure it in the ecosystem so that they know that their model, their business idea is actually creating value in the ecosystem?
Thanks, Anshav. Uh, Already Bhavesh has covered so many things. First of all, is value is very difficult, easy to sound, but difficult to understand wherever it comes to the consumer part. There's a lot of confusion in the startups whenever I meet in cost, in price, and in value. So, what is value? First is the consumer who's going to pay for whatever you're offering, your product or service. That's the revenue side one an entrepreneur should look at. So simply put or make it easy to understand what's the worth. इसमें दम नहीं है या दम है is the value. So basically, if you get more than what you expect, value is created in the minds of the consumers or those who pay. Now, to create this, there could be different ways. And secondly, it has to be making difference to the consumer. If you are creating a value which is not relevant to the customer, it goes waste. Example is if a doctor says I'll operate one-on-one operation free. Now he may be creating a value but doesn't make sense to the consumer or the patient. So it has to be relevant to the customer. I meet a lot of entrepreneurs who come with brilliant ideas and they are in a rush to say that this is the value I'm creating. So first of all, the value is the worth or what they are getting more. There's, as I told you, the price may be something different, but the value may be different. Secondly, it has to be relevant, and thirdly, it has to be encashable. You are doing everything, you are adding value, but how to finance it, how to create revenue out of it, or the additional part, how is you take it in the revenue side is most important. You create value, but you don't know. I see a lot of entrepreneurs coming and say, this is the value we are creating. But I say, how are you going to monetize it? How are you going to encash it? That also is an important part. The other part of values are, also in the minds, it has to be cultivated in the minds of the entrepreneurs or the startups, is the investors. You create value for their, these are soft values which you may not realize. First, if you create value to the customers, then the revenue side is going up. The investors want to see this value generated, how much more value you are generating is very important. Then it creates value to the investors. If you are the promoter, you have to create values for your team, entire team, howsoever small or big, because you are a person who is having this vision, this idea. This has to transform in the value in your team or your co-promoters, and this has to bind the team till the end. These are the soft values and important values. There's one more angle to it, is what ethics and moral you're going to really stick to. These values probably are forgotten, and especially when money comes in. So these values have to be set in on the first day, first moment, and made it clear to the team, this is what we are going to do, this is what we are not going to venture in. There are companies who define very clearly, and actually this internal values set on the first moment of entrepreneurship and carried through is the guiding principles on which this business journey goes to the height and scale. I think, so, Anshava, I've answered your question.
No, you have actually wonderfully answered my question. I would want to say that. And I mean, it actually has given me another question. Uh, see, currently the challenge, the startup ecosystem, everybody talks about value, everybody talks about investors, investment, but there is always a chicken and egg story, into that. If you don't have money, you can't promote it and you can't sell your product, and the customers won't be able to buy it. Now, for that, and when you go to the investors will say, what is your customers are saying, whether they are able to see the value and are they buying it. Now, this is a very tricky situation because you have to test the market. You may do a bootstrapping, and typically in a high capex environment, it becomes difficult for an entrepreneur to show value with respect to the customer's acceptance, because it takes time to develop that thing, and the entrepreneur may or may not have that funds to grow it onto that extent. Now, in those scenarios, how do you show a value to an investor that yes, this model, this business idea is a valuable idea for them to invest?
You want me to answer this?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. See, the value generation, first of all, I would like to clarify, could be simply the way you do logistics. The value creation relevant to the customer, maybe your packaging, the value generation to the customer, the way you approach them. All these values can be tracked and easily gone to the investor. I may not agree that you need money to create value. First, you create value, money comes in. So the investor would like to see what is your subscription model. For example, my revenue may be very less, but I've got 1,000 people who have put their hands in their pockets to take my subscription. That creates value. The number of customers repeatedly coming back to you, irrespective of the ticket value, the investor definitely sees this as a value. The initial work you have done, all these revenues, the touch points, the customer acquisition, even your customer acquisition cost, if it is low, and if you can demonstrate that, see, with this customer acquisition cost, I have acquired so many customers, investors definitely see that. And investor, the moment they see the value is generated in the customer's mind who are putting their hands in the pocket, underlined, not what others think, what others write, or what others cover you. So this, when the investor sees, they are ready to jump on it. And thirdly, also, there has to be seen a value by an investor if it is scalable. All this is good, you are generating value, but you are not in the capacity to scale it. Money will come. After money, you can scale it, but definitely you can demonstrate value generated in only first thing is the customer's mind. Once the customer sees the value, you can map it, you can show it on a very small scale also. Investors are wise enough, they will see that this business is going to really go big. This is how you can demonstrate the value to the investors.
Brilliant. I mean, it's a very good example, and the way explanation which you have given. And I think you have also brought up a very important point of right business model, the scalable business model. So it is not just about the product and probably the acceptance in the market. We might go with a freemium model and start talking to giving those things as a freebies just to test the market. But if the traction is there, if the people are liking that and people are coming back and saying, yes, we would want to use such kind of products or services, we may kind of, eventually monetize it in those manners. And I remember yesterday's discussion with our experts that they were also saying that don't try to give everything for free, because once you set up that thing as a habit, as people giving it free, it will become a habit. It will be very difficult for you to change your positioning. So you'll have to find some.
See, this is the $1,000,000 question, say, which is the every startup founder, entrepreneur is fighting, that, say, whatever he is doing, how it is getting valued by the customer. Because ultimately, whatever you feel, say, this is fantastic, this is going to be Zoom like this is going to solve all the problems, and the people will take like anything. It is the market, it is the consumer who is going to decide that how they are going to value it. So there are the two business model. One is the cost plus margin. So which is, say, normally happen in any trading or manufacturing, say, item, where the something you are producing at 10 rupee and you are adding a, say, margin of 1 or 10%, 20, 30%, and you are, say, selling in 10, 12, 13 rupee. The second thing is that your cost is irrelevant. What is costing to you? Ultimately, it is how this is going to solve the problem of the consumer or the user, and the how much user is able to save by using this product or services. So if, say, suppose there could be a situation where the let's take an example of a software, a product. I am not talking the service, so I am talking about the product. So there is a product which is, say, software. I don't know what is the development cost is there, but if this can save a client, say, $1 million, he don't mind to pay, few $1,000. Now there could be the cost of development is hardly, say, anything, or maybe a fraction of that, or whatever it is. But ultimately, how the consumer is, finding the value in that, and that totally depend on how much they are able to save it. Now, regarding the common word is the pivoting. So where the, say, when a founder is developing something and that is, say, not being taken in the market the way he think, and then he feel that, say, okay, let me tweak this. So I'll add something, I'll change something, I'll offer something, and then I'll see, so definitely this time the other guys are going to take. I always suggest that, say, before doing such kind of a thing, do the proper research, talk to your consumer, talk to your customer, what they want. If you are able to offer, or if you are able to match your service, your product as the consumer want, definitely that's the value creation. And if your consumer or customer value it, investor will automatically value it, because investor is valuing, so what is being taken by the market. Another thing, that is the value system, what we talk about, say, value system within the company. So many times, say, some founder, they get, say, driven by the some temporary opportunity. So some temporary opportunity is there, they feel that yes, I can do, and let's do it, irrespective whether that is matching with their value system or not. So if anything, say, which is not matching with the value system of the company, and if it is not aligned, I find, say, the most of the time the team is getting distracted, and then, say, really the thing doesn't go move the way, the founder is feeling. So the entire game is, so understanding consumer, customer, and aligning along with that and trying to sort out the problem for which somebody is ready to pay.
No, right. I think that's a good explanation. I would just want to add and probably ask a few more things. One more question here, and is that if you are if there is a founder who is doing, let's say, 3 or 4 services which they are offering, how should they kind of determine that which service is giving more value? Is there any kind of a measurement criteria which we should look at? And second, should if one of the services is doing the best, what should the entrepreneur do for the rest of the services or the products?
See, the simple rule in the life is 80-20 Pareto rule. So first of all, say, let's accept that, so we all have a limited energy. We have a limited resource. And if anybody have doubt, then you can check, say with maybe Modi or maybe Trump. The resources are limited. Energy is limited. Let's understand which the product is going fine. Now, it all depends again on that, say at what position I am and how much reserve do I have. So say suppose if my company is cash rich and, say I have a lot of reserve, my one product is doing fantastic, I don't mind to do the experiment with another 1 or 2 products. But again, my formula is always one at a time. Depending on the resources and then depending on the commanders, at least one commander should chase only one product at a time or one service at a time. Now they say suppose if that is giving, if say suppose I am not a cash rich guy, which is normally I am talking in the context of startups. So I always tell them that, so you set your goal that, how many, what is, say your market share into that your line. If your market share is not in double digit, don't jump for the second product. At least if you are able to reach to, forget double digit, even if you are able to cross 5% of the market share, you can think about, thinking the another product. See, whatever the top companies are there in the market, you will see they are getting known for one product. Whether it is a Facebook, WhatsApp they brought after many years when they have a lot of cash reserve, or whether it is a Apple. So the top companies or Google, as on today Google have the multiple product, but think about their journey. So always first focus on one product, make your identity, prove in the market that yes, you can do. And if you once establish that, you can go for the second, third, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think beautifully. Chakor sir, you can unmute yourself and talk.
Yeah, very briefly, I can add, Narendra ji has said it mostly. There's a wonderful book called Focus by Laura Rice. And all these myths, like, you cannot simply sit on multiple horses. So when entrepreneurs come, they come and they, before one idea matures, they want to jump on the second one. So we tell them, if you're not happy, come out of it, get into the other one. Not that you continue that, or tweak with the same vertical, with the basic idea, but just simply do not start 2-3 things at a time. There are companies in this world who are sitting on thousands of crores of cash, but they don't get into other businesses. They simply ask a question, what is my business, and let me stick to it. Thanks, Anshu.
No, I think you're very right. And both you and Narendra has given us a point, one at a time, focus one at a time. And another dimension, Narendra, what you have brought is about, I mean, it's a quantified value you have brought in that take a 5% market share. Now, I mean, that may be a random value which you have calculated, but yes, we have to have decided at least this market capture. Once we have, we can move on to the next products and services. And one more aspect which I learned from your point is that you can still have other products or services, but with a different commander, different person or a partner or a co-founder who's focusing on that aspect. Is my understanding correct?
Yes, very much. And say, first of all, that you should go only and only when your first product is rocking. First product have say achieved the really good milestone. When I'm saying 5%, that is I'm talking about the any old product category. If it is a new product category, it can be 25% also. And just to add, so what Chakor said, the another book, say I would like to recommend, that is the One Thing. The One Thing. The One Thing,
Rajshri is, by the way, Rajshri is writing all the books names. She's a book reader, voracious book reader. So as soon as the Chakor sir and you have given the book, she has already written down.
So I suggest, say every founder, particularly, say the remain focus on the one idea, one problem, what you can solve, which, say the people are ready to buy, people are, so that's really going to make the big impact. If you can identify that, and if you can do that, and let me tell you, this is not a small thing. It may take around 5 to 10 years. Uber is still doing only Ubering. They are not, say jumping on the so many other businesses. Same thing is with Oyo.
So I think what you're mentioning is they may have a multiple revenue streams, but their focus or their core messaging is still the same. That's what you are basically talking about, and it's a very focused area wherein there probably, as you rightly said, Pareto's principle, 80% revenues might be coming in from that one particular main area, and 20% may be coming in from other revenue streams. So good. I mean, thank you so much on this. Now with this, I would like to go to Mr. Mehta. Mr. Mehta,
Yes,
we always talk about productivity is all about creating value and delivering it to people. Can
right.
we collaborate and still create value in the long term? And how different it is from competing with others rather than collaboration?
Okay. First of all, Mr. Anso, thank you very much to invite me on this platform. And I would like to say that being a SME entrepreneur, first of all, I believe in Make in India concept. So whatever my answer, that is towards the scenario of the Make in India concept, number one. Second thing, presently we are passing through the difficult situation, particularly COVID-19 and pandemic. And after a long time, the question arises, business sustainability, and particularly today's session is a value creation. So I think so, particularly for you exactly said, what is the compatibility and collaboration, right? Number one, you arise the collaboration.
Right.
So as I heard my learned friend, Mr. Chakor Gandhi and Mr. Narendra Shyamsuka, I am purely agreed with his views. But as a SME, I'll tell you, there are certain my views, which may right or wrong, that I don't know. But for considering today's scenario, there are some points which is very much important for the collaboration of the business. That is, one thing is the capital is required, what will look for the collaboration. Number one. Number two, this is for whatever the capital will look for the collaboration of the business and competition of the business. That question comes, it's a discretionary spending power. It is a discretionary spending power. And for which also thoughts will come from the consumer. It is an individual choice, means consumer will look for their priorities like safety and health. So we must go for the value creation for particular for the product of, first of all, in comparison of the other product, then priority based product for the collaboration. Number two. Number three, whatever the result of this backlash against China, I'm sorry, there are a number of the other friends from the world, but I'll tell you that particularly vision has not to be even ignored from our side, because so many public from the world, so many civilian from the world, now they are diverting themselves from China to India, or they are creating, or they are trying to create an option for the collaboration of the product for their in own country. So for which there is a now different today's scenario demand, like whatever the today's demand is, as I told you, it is a priority base. As example, hospitality and entertainment business will reduce gradually, and healthcare, safety and need-based business is going on growing part or growth part, वो growth part पे रहेगा. So whatever the collaboration we are thinking, we have to think on need-based and today's need-based part. Number one. Number two, as I told you, it's a discretionary spending, means for individual, first ticket size of the spending will become drop, or it will be a delay. So once again, I am telling you, collaboration of the product or compatibility of the product, we have to think in that part, whether it is a consumer, whether it is a conceptual, or whether it is a FMCG, or whether it is a luxury product. Number two. Number three, in business now, liquidity and profit and loss, that particularly will work on very much important part, because nowadays one thing is sure, that particular business of wholesale and retail means more people will prefer to buy from retail stores where there is a perceptions of the safety, means sanitization, cleanliness, crowd, they will trying to check and then go, means they will more and more towards mall away from the market, and many will move towards online stores, wholesale suppliers, and also need to concentration on such retailers. Okay. And second main thing, nowadays, particularly even financial markets and export, that also parameters and points has to be taken care of. Particularly financial market, there will be a value destruction and value creation in different companies in the same sector. High debt, low margin companies will find it difficult, and particularly it indicates risky or unscrupulous management. Second thing, high debt, high margin companies could be rewarded, but caution needs to be exercised. No debt, high margin companies are best rewarded now, and know more about the CEO and management and their action and activities. And new tech unicorns will be born, and those involved in cyber security, cloud servers, online education. So mainly digital time has started, and whether we wish or not wish, but we have to prefer and we have to follow the digital path for the collaboration and competitiveness. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta. I think it's a very wide coverage of value and future prospects as well, which you have shared out here. And just want to add on your point of Make in India promotions. Now, everywhere across the globe, people are talking about Make in India. In fact, a lot of people who are, who have been set up industries outside in other countries. Now there is a discussion, and in last, almost this is the 20th day, or 19th day we are in, and we had speakers who have kind of shared that now manufacturing industry will actually grow in India, and lot of new jobs will come up, lot of new manufacturing facilities will be set up, especially those ones which had been in probably China for the low cost perspective as well. But now India will also start coming into those things with more efficiencies. So I think the value will also be much better in terms of the margins, high margins, and less investments. I mean, investments will anyways be, have to be there, but the efficiencies of Indian population or Indian, Indians which we have, is that it's going to change a lot, and a lot of things we are going to get benefited in the long run now. So I very well agree with you that frugality is going to be the important next thing. In fact, there is a discussion which is going on around wherein people are now saying it is not about unicorns now. It is about profitable unicorns. Because you can be a $1 billion valuation unicorn, but that doesn't matter because that is not going to give you that profitability. So the whole focus will shift into the profitability perspective.
Right.
Now, my another question to you is that, see, you have spoken about lot of futuristic opportunities as well. Now, for the startups or for the budding entrepreneurs, and I think one of the segment which Mr. Gandhi was talking about, while we were discussing before this show, is that a lot of youth are now losing their jobs, and that was one reason why we started this entire platform. So while Bringle had this blended meetups and blended learning platform for last 2 years, and I mean, we had our own set of customers and people using it, but suddenly we have seen a lot of demand of this kind of a platform being there. And when it comes to digital transformation, and there's a joke going on around recently that people say digital transformation means that I've learned using Zoom, I've learned using TikTok, I have started using WhatsApp. There was a time when people used to say I am digitally transformed myself by using WhatsApps. So,
Sure.
the point what I'm trying to say is that in the current generation, the youth who are coming in, they are still not very, while they're adapting it much faster in terms of the technology, and they're, even my daughter's classes are happening over the Zoom call and they're pretty much picking up. What do you see as an opportunity for the youth to come in the entrepreneurship segment? And if they are coming into the entrepreneurship segment, what is that one thing they should focus upon so that they can create value for the entire ecosystem?
Okay, fine. One thing I have identified and I have noticed in the mind of the youth, they are not that acquainted to work under our Indian hierarchy and bureaucracy system, number one. So if they are losing the job, or if they are not getting the proper job nowadays after this pandemic issue, so they also will start some co-manufacturing system. Means I have before 3 or 4 years, when I had been to China, at that time I have seen in China there is a co-manufacturing system, means plug and play. They have a huge industrial park and all industrial machinery facility. As example, there is some electronic park in particular place, and whomsoever youth or any small medium enterprise entrepreneur wants to start their manufacturing activity, they can simply plug and play their machinery, and whatever the technology they have, they will produce this product without investing in infrastructure, and they are getting all these industries or machinery on rent, like whatever we are taking business premises on the rent. Number one. Number two, nowadays we know our youth is jack for all. They are master for none, but jack for all. So basically, whatever the digital transformation, particularly our youth culture is very much acquainted to that part. So they have a great opportunity to doing work from home. They have great opportunity to doing work from home. Like even they want to do some small business, like in creative graphics, like in digital technology base, like in any legal consultancy, like in particular indenting or distribution. Suppose they have some small amount or small investment, or without money they want to promote their product, so they may prefer this contract manufacturing, rather sorry, co-manufacturing facility, and they prefer, or they can prefer from work from home. So now, as basic, I have heard, or it was uh, particularly before some days when we discussed internally, at that time I got some news from some intellectual like Mr. Chakor and Mr. Narendra Shyam Sukha जैसे जो कहीं ऐसे बंदे थे, तब हमारी बात हो रही थी कि now even our Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to establish some electronic park in India with the investment of rupees 40,000 crores approximately, and where co-manufacturing system will be going to established. So our youth have a great opportunity to doing some small medium enterprise business with small investment, with as per their ways, with digital transformation and digital technology adoption, like work from home or part-time work, or with limited facilities work. That's all.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Mehta. I think beautifully you have explained about the youth requirement, and I think you're right. Youth is more digitally savvy now, unlike our earlier generations. And but I think with that youth, and this is a little open question which I would like to ask, and if Mr. Gandhi is there, okay.
No, he had another appointment. He had told me by 5:55 he had to go.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So my question is that now, what is that one suggestion you would like to give all the entrepreneurs who are very tech savvy? They have probably developed very good products, but they are not able to understand value from that perspective, from the frugality. Yesterday also we were discussing about that people are now talking about only valuation, and I think that concept will change in today's scenario. So my question is that we always talk about frugality, and it's a little tricky question, I don't, which is, can value creation be negative as well?
Right.
It can be negative, and in what scenario?
See, one thing I'll tell you, as earlier also I have told you, value creation is depend on so many points. Value creation is not only we can consider on part of return on investment, or in part of the value addition of the investment. Value creation is consideration on the base of, as I told you, it is a discretionary spending. Say example, I'll tell you, for small and medium enterprise, now they have to very much cautious and careful, because small medium enterprise previously they were failed in their business due to shortage of fund. Suppose if they have gained the profit, but they will withdraw their profit from the business and they will invest in real estate or any, like in some Delhi just before 4 months, one of the big restaurant chain, particularly they started their chain and they got very much success, but particularly in this scenario they don't have even now provision of the salary to pay their employee, because whatever they earn they invested in other chain or other real estate. So what is my perception, or what is my individual thoughts, particular for the small medium enterprise, to avoid the negative value, we have to be spare with funds, means we have to infuse the funds, we have to look for the capital, we have to avoid unnecessarily showmanship, means we can work from non-fancy office, we can work from our with limited uh, requirement. Instead of we focus on others, we must focus on digital equipments or digital technology, or we must protect or insulated our best staff, our best technology person, or our best intangible asset. Second thing, we cannot and we should not now get emotion, we must ignore or we must obsolete whatever the non-core business. Suppose any business, we have a 2 or 3 business, or we have a 2-3 segments. In one business, in 2 product we are getting value addition, and in one product we are not getting value addition, or we are getting negative value creation. So we must ignore it and we must obsolete. That is my
Got it.
perception.
Got it. I think I mean, my question was little in terms of negative value creation, but I think you've answered it by saying that we might see value in by having fancy offices. That could be a value from somebody's perspective. But in today's scenario, that value has to come down and the focus has to be more on economics, and that can actually create more value creation for the people while focusing on those, not focusing on those aspects which are not really creating value in that real scenario. And I think that's how you have kind of answered it. That's what I could understand.
Right.
Okay. Great. Bhavesh, I have this another question with you from you before we take questions from everybody. Bhavesh, you've been talking a lot about collaboration, mentoring, and things, and I've been, I think we've been discussing on various aspects. Now, and we also know that 1 + 1 = 11. We always been hearing that from since ages. Now, how do you see the value becomes better when we collaborate or when we partner?
So I think Anshav, before we move to that particular space, I think we need to understand the cycle on the value creation perspective, right? So, I always say, you need to be able to define, okay, what is it that you want to create? Okay, then you need to create that particular value proposition. You need to deliver and you need to sustain. Okay, if you go through this cycle, okay, what will happen is you are able to, actually work on a model which will help you to do or fulfill the objectives. Same with collaborations. So if you look at a lot of companies today, what happens is, let's say I have a product, okay, and I have a platform where I'm able to engage and collaborate with a lot of ecosystem players or startups in the space. Okay, now there are certain things that I'm offering which can be to a limited space because of the constraints or the time or the value that I have been able to create. What I could do is I could collaborate with a few of the ecosystem players who are adding certain value to the customers. Okay, and what I do is then I say, hey, look, I have this X value that I'm anyways delivering to my customers or my potential partners. Okay, you have this certain value that you can add to it and then deliver it. So for example, one of the processes that we have created is in terms of how do we align businesses or startups to focus on their business goals or their organization goals. Now, what we have done is we have actually started collaborations with a few platforms in terms of adding additional value, which can be, understanding about their own self and their, positives and, their strengths. Okay. What happens is once we have been able to do that, Now we are able to mentor, them in a more rational way, saying that, hey, look, these are some of the areas that I think you need to be working on. Maybe it can be communication, it can be, even, aligning with your own teams on how you communicate with your teams about your mission, vision, and value, or the whole purpose of why you have created this entire system to add value to the customers at large, right? So what happens is, once you've been able to collaborate with the right partners, you're able to add more value to your potential customers, bringing together certain tools and methodologies, and also adding value to each other. So, I as an organization is able to deliver more value to the customer. The organization that I'm collaborating is also having more value by collaborating with us and getting more customers for them as well. So it's a win-win for both the parties. So, for example, another example I can say is Bringle as a platform today. We have a lot of opportunities in terms of how do we engage and communicate with the customers or consumers in terms of maybe learnings, in terms of mentoring, in terms of investment cycles and all that, right? Now, if we are able to add maybe a platform which is able to deliver, let's say, video calls to them, or let's say a integrated solution, which can also help us reach out to our customers and add value, it becomes a more value proposition for us.
Got it, Bhavesh bhai, and thanks for mentioning about Bringle platform. And I think we at Bringle are only trying to create that value in the ecosystem by this collaboration, and that is the reason we have been keeping most of our content as a free learning resource. We are not trying to monetize that, because this helps us to reach out to various people, and ultimately there are other monetizable options available, and people can definitely use the platform and do the same with their own market segment as well, and do the paid assignments or things like that. So I think that's perfectly fine and perfectly right. We are trying to grow it more globally, and that kind of brings it more better approach. And with this online platform, it is going to do much more better engagement and initiatives. I would also want to add, I think with this technology interventions by which the global reach, which is happening. So the one part is the technology part of it. You have a video conferencing solution, probably what you have been doing with 10 steps. In Bringle platform, we have automated 9 out of 10 steps. So it reduces your administrative efforts by more than 80%, 90% kind of effort. But I think there's another angle which comes in along with that as a platform or as a requirement in currently digital transformation space, is that how you can network and communicate with various people across the globe. And even nowadays people can't meet within the localities, same neighborhood localities, forget about the globalization. But because of our platforms like Bringle, where we have a reach around in different countries, that kinds of helps us out to at least connect in those. So we have got like speakers from around 15 plus countries in last 19 days or 20 days, and we have seen people joining in from at least 25 countries through this platform. And they have now started promoting and reaching out and talking to their within set of experts, and they're now coming back and say, oh yes, I would want to utilize such kind of a platform. I'm getting desperate calls from people and mentors saying, my offline business is completely down, what do I do, can you help me out? I have never used the online platforms, I've never trusted that, we thought it will work. So I think that kind of a segment, it has to be very simplified, as everybody, speakers was saying that it has to be reduced effort. And the third part is that how we can make it more real in the virtual scenario as well. And that also becomes very, very important, which needs to be done. There was a question for Mr.
Let me add one more thing. Let me it's just another 30 seconds or something. See, when you are actually building an organization, when you're trying to collaborate, what happens is you are creating a value. Okay. And then on top of it, when you create, let's say, a few systems and processes, you're adding a lot of added value to your products. But collaboration, what happens is you have now moved from value to added value to created value. The 3 level of value systems, that you're able to build is what collaboration brings, because it also helps you to reach out to a larger audience with a more combined force of your product or service offerings as well.
Okay, Very nice. So I think Bhavesh, if you can just repeat this part of 3 levels of value creation in a very generic manner. I mean, example I've understood. You have tried to use Bringle as an example, but can you be more specific in terms of that? What is the first level of value creation? What is the second level, and what is the third level?
Yeah. So there are 3 levels. The first is the value as an organization that you've been able to build with your product or services, which attracts buyers, awareness and interest. Okay, that's the first level. Then comes the added value, which is the second level. Now this, if you have been able to, let's say, add some extra features to your product or services, which goes beyond your standard product offerings, right? It actually magnifies the buyer's desire and may lead to an action of buying. Okay. Now comes the third level, which is the created value. Now what has happened is it actually separates from the product and also helps you create a unique to each buyer. Okay. Now this also helps in terms of securing a long-term relationship with your consumers, because what you have done is you have now said, hey, look, I am not only offering you A plus B, this is something called as A plus B plus C, because you have been a long-term engagement with us, or you have been a long-term customer with us. That also makes consumers or customers stick to you, saying that, look, I am getting more than what I have been paying. Okay. So it can be another way of customer retention. It can be another way of customer acquisition. It all depends on how you're able to position it across.
Got it, Bhavesh. I think it's a very brilliantly explained, and I think for the entrepreneurs, I would just want to repeat this point because this is very critical and very nicely explained. The first part is, and I think Lavanya, you have a question from Mr. Shamsukha. I cannot find him. Has he left or it is internet breakdown?
Don't know.
Okay. Rachni, if you can just quickly check with him over the call if it is possible. I think there is a question from.
So we can continue in the meanwhile because he has stopped. Yeah.
So I think Lavanya, I'm just supplementing your question. I'm unmuting you, but see, my question here, I'm just explaining this. So what Bhavesh is saying, and what Lavanya question is, can you elaborate your point about the one product being successful before you venture into another business with a suitable example? Isn't this a non-sustainable idea in the current volatile economic state we are in? Lavanya, do you want to add something out there?
No, not really. But this is exactly the question, because when we are talking of sticking to just one business, right, isn't that really an antithesis to what we are right now discussing about sustainability?
Okay. So, okay, I got your point, Lavanya, and I think Bhavesh, I'll just add it up over here and maybe you can answer this question. What Bhavesh was mentioning about is the first level of a product. So what Mr. Shamsukha has mentioned, that you have one product offering, even from the angles of Google or any other business. So you start with one primary offering of yours, which is your product A, or which is a product value A, which people will see, yes, there is a value, and then you add up some supplementary services or supplementary products. It could be anything. That becomes your product value A plus B. And once you have that A plus B, your end consumer might also be creating value using your products and services by this A plus B. So that is the third level of value generation. You are creating it for your end user, for your customer, basically. Am I right in explaining that, Bhavesh bhai? You want to explain something more?
Okay, I'll give you a classic example, Lavanya. Okay, look at Uber, okay, or look at Ola or Uber. Okay, now Ola and Uber are clearly aggregators of transportation service providers. Okay, where you have platform, a cab wala comes in and he logs in, and then he is able to transport you from city A to city B, or maybe location A to location B. Now, if you log into Uber, you will see there are a lot of options which are available. The first option is you can take up a small mini cab. Okay. The second option is you can take a larger cab. The third is you can take a limo, or a premier cab, right? So what has happened is what they've been able to do is they've been able to create value propositions for each and every type of customers. Okay. Now, after that, what they did was they actually launched something called as Uber Eats. Okay, which is into a very complete different solution offering as well, right? So what they are saying is, if you are traveling from A to B and you have a journey of, let's say, hour and a half, you can actually call for food. By the time you reach the location, we will deliver that to you. So what has happened is they have actually been able to add a value to customers by just tweaking in another product and throwing in an offering. Okay, so that is a very classic example of how you're able to add a larger value to your to your current customers, and also ensuring that you're making money out of it. So that's an additional revenue stream that you have been able to generate as a business.
I mean, I'm certain I understand that point, Bhavesh. I suppose my question was more in context to the way Mr. Narendra put it. It's all right. So now that he's not
So
around,
we will take it up
Yes,
separately. Mr. Mehta, I think we will be just completing the session now. Do you want to put some lights on this particular part of product part of focusing only on one product, or can an entrepreneur focus on multiple products by any chance?
Particularly just before 5 minutes, Lavanya has raised the question and Mr. Bhavesh Bhai has explained very well. But according to me, nowadays, only supplementary product along with our business is not sufficient to sustain in the business. Because see, the way we have seen our eco cows, it's in form of W, means up, down. And particularly, we have to develop our multiple business consideration to the scenario of this. We assume that this lockdown period will continue with the different span. So what kind of the situation will arise that nobody will knows. So according to the present demand, consideration to our this now lockdown system, we have to develop various business. Like say example, I'll tell you, I am in healthcare business. Just before 1 month, even we have not particularly developed certain product, particularly for the sanitizer. But suddenly demand raise for the sanitizer before 1.5 months in our medicinal plant extraction, means herbal extracts product. And more than 50% of the manufacture. Lavanya, can you hear me? No?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, more than 50% of the drugs or herbal manufacturer, they have, or a cosmetic manufacturer, they have converted or they have developed their another product with the immediate permission from the FDA. They have developed sanitizer, and now this sanitizer is become a primarily core business for them with their regular product. Yeah. So what I want to say that nowadays for small medium enterprises, they must have a multiple business to survive and sustain in the business, because we know that we have to, as a SME, reduce the staff. We have to adopt the digital technology or digital mode or digital path to develop the business. We have to particularly go for the cost cutting, but it is not even possible to cut down of the cost with immediate effect. So there is only one solution. We have to develop some other business, because our employee who has been standby with us since 1 decade or 2 decades, we cannot remove that immediately. Even we know that emotion will not work in this time, but sometime we have to insulate and protect our best staff team, best salesperson, best office administrative staff. So even to sustain that kind of the cost, we have to develop such parallel business which will suffice the requirement of like safety, healthcare, digital technology, particularly so many services related to meet the requirement with this COVID-19 scenario. So I am purely agreed with uh, even Bhavesh bhai partially, and with Lavanya's question, कि parallel business has to be developed.
Thank you, Ketan.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta. I think it's a wonderful example, and I totally understand that we have to have the multiple revenue streams. Mr. Shamsuka is not here, but I think if he would have been here, it would be great. But I think it's not about not having a multiple products or services. It is about focusing or positioning yourself as one product or one platform. So as today, if somebody talks about Colgate, everybody knows that we are talking about toothpaste. When somebody talks about search engine, everybody knows about Google, while Google does lots of other stuff. When it comes to TCS, people knows it's about a computer company, but they do a lot of other outsourcing work as well. So it is about the positioning as one brand. And I mean, it may be a different number. I mean, the percentages or the numbers which Mr. Shamsuka was mentioning may or may not be to that level, but ultimately it has to be a multiple efforts. And as Bhavesh was mentioning, A plus B plus C, and all those three levels of value creation, we need to see this. With this, I think I would like to thank all the speakers for today, Mr. Narendra Shamsuka, Mr. Ketan Mehta, Mr. Bhavesh Kothari, Mr. Chakor Gandhi, who has spent their wonderful time, and they've actually took their time from busy schedules.
Yeah.
And we could see that two of our speakers had to leave, and I know that both of our other speakers are also now ready to go for another sessions. Thanks to them for giving your time, valuable time. And I would also want to thank Radio Masti 24/7 Singapore, who has been publishing daily Pulse of Wisdom of our live show in their channel. Radio Masti 24/7 is the only Hindi speaking radio channel across Southeast Asia. You can tune in to their mobile application on iOS and Android, and do listen to the Pulse of Wisdom of the Daily Talk Show. Even if you are missing it out here, you can tune their application for the same. I would also want to thank specifically my core team. Sorry, just a moment. I'm sorry, I've done some mistake. Okay, so I would specifically want to thank my core team who has been putting wonderful efforts in this entire initiative, wherein they have Shamila Diwatia, who is our co-founder and CEO of Bringle. I'll just share the screen. Myself, Anshav Jain, I'm the founder of Bringle. Shamila Diwatia, thanks to you. She's COO and managing the Bringle as co-founder. Also, she's managing Vardhan as a managing director. Charu Marotra, founder of Women Lines from Singapore, has been managing a lot of, providing a lot of support in taking this initiative forward. Rajshri Rajshekar, founder of Poonam Foundation, thanks for being there and supporting from an HR transformation perspective. Mani Lakaraju, founder of Solveworks, he's been working with a lot of startups and helped us designing the program Design Your Unicorn. With this, I would like to thank all other collaborators, sponsors, supporters, our special associations like ICX Pro, who has been providing speakers and promoting us in different forums. Thank you so much, and thank you all the listeners and participants onto this. Till then, keep bringing, keep growing.
Thank you to all the
Thank you.
speakers.
Thank you.
It was
Okay,
wonderful
bye,
session
bye,
and
everybody.
wonderful learning. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank
Thank
you,
you. Take
Rajeshri, and
care.
thank you,
Stay
Anshav.
safe.
Thank you,
all.
thank you, sir.